In a world of remakes and remasters,
Are we playing for
what was once sacred and cool has now soured and become lame.
Red?
Gone are the days of Pogs and Cowabunga. Now is the reign of slurp juice and dabs. Kids these days don't even know how bad they've got it. Now it's up to the best generation to rise to the occasion and make a show that dares to go where a lot of other nerdy shows have already gone quite a bit. That's right. They're going to talk about it a lot.
Hello, and welcome to the show, everyone. This is Best Gen, where nerds complain about nerdy things, and it's called Best Gen because we're all roughly más o menos from the same generation. We happen to think that it's the best one out of all of the generations, not because we as people are better than you, but because our movies and entertainment certainly were. So strap on in and prepare to wax nostalgic as we reminisce upon the days of yore while simultaneously complaining about the stupid movies that Hollywood is making today. How's everybody doing?
I am suffering from allergies, but otherwise, fine.
So
That's
many
hilarious.
happy faces on the stream today.
Yeah.
That's hilarious because I was about to say my eye was twitching from allergies. I literally have like redness in my eye, like here from allergies.
Well,
it's annoying.
Relatively unobtrusive. That's a relative term for me because they're always messing with me. But just tired with moving and getting stuff settled at the house too. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
you look kind of tired, yeah.
I've suffered from horrible allergies my entire life, hay fever, and for the last 2 years,
God.
I've been taking the allergy shots, and I just went camping all week, and I am fine.
Nice.
We don't get those fancy
I
shows
have
in
I have
Mexico.
never felt like this before. It's definitely working. I was still sneezing. Like I was still, I still got like pollen in my nose and I had to sneeze, but I wasn't like sick. Like I get deathly sick. I almost died as a kid because of allergies, and it was David's fault. So
a little bit.
One or two times, yeah.
anyway, how's everybody doing other than allergies? Mexa just got a promotion.
Yeah.
That was the name of the thing because I didn't remember what it was called. But yeah, I was working really hard for a couple of months now. Have been working really hard for a couple of months now, and yeah, that's basically what I needed. I hope they already offered me. I hope it goes through and nothing bad happens. But yeah, they're supposed to send me, the official T-shirt and the things like that, and I'm going to be on camera, so it's gonna be really good for me.
Nice. Exciting.
Yeah, yeah, I
looks-
think.
Congratulations.
Mark Clark's been doing better. He had a rough day. I hope you got my message. I was literally camping when you texted when you sent me a message on X, and I sent a message back, but I didn't get any reception, and I would randomly just get like texts while I was gone. So I responded, and I got your message. And I hope you're doing great, and it sounds like you're doing better, which is great news. And you're watching the stream, which means you're not dead. And oops, oh, you didn't die. Great. Oh, you didn't get my message. Either way, well, one's great, one's bad. I'll have to resend it. Okay. I was praying for you, Mark. Okay.
It worked. It worked.
It's been a good month for me too. I went camping with my son. It was fun. This performance-wise, this has been the best month this channel has had since Rings of Power season 1.
Even with all of the Doctor Who demonetization and not demonetization, but the appeal
Strikes, yeah.
strikes.
Yeah, with I've had a couple Doctor Who shorts get a whole lot of views, and the Brandon Sanderson videos, the Doctor Who devoid of logic videos. I hope I hoped would have gotten more popular, but I'm breaking them down into shorts, and those are getting views. The episode 2 one that took like 3 weeks to get out. They hit it with another copyright strike right at the very end. So I'm like, fine, I'm just chopping this up into 2. And those got 0 views, like 50 each. So, who knows?
but that was because of the day you uploaded them. Like, I even went in and liked them.
It was like
the
a Friday.
On Friday?
Yeah.
Oh, damn, this weekend was
On
long.
Friday, it was still members only, though. I'm pretty sure.
Then they went live Saturday.
For real?
I don't know. I was gone. I scheduled them to go live over the weekend. So I did them both at the same
3
time.
days ago, but maybe it's 3 days ago. I'm
Anyway.
bad with my math, so I don't know.
They didn't
But
do well.
Yeah. Mhm.
But I'm chopping that one up into shorts too, and maybe those will do well and bring that back. And 3 is already ready. That's going live tomorrow, and I still need to make 4 and 5, and I don't want to talk about 5 yet because I am upset.
Yeah.
But there's news. Anyway, we're doing good. Mark's doing better. I'll resend that message then. I'll just copy. Dave's. It's Pride Month. Did you guys know that?
Yeah.
My birthday month I think is what you meant to say.
Right. I'm proud of my brother. Month.
I still remember
just-
your good Grandpa Tries Pride Month short from years ago.
It's a great short.
That's the best Grandpa tried.
It's a great short. Got me banned from TikTok, and I've never felt better about myself than when that happened. Yeah. I tried to think of like another Pride Month sketch, and I just wasn't feeling inspiration. But this was pretty great. The Royal Dutch Airlines posted, "It doesn't matter who you click with. Happy Pride."
It kind of does matter.
It kind of
If you're wearing a
does.
seappelt, I mean,
Well, it
That
depends on what
analogy-
your intention is behind it.
actually, it's not a bad analogy. very, very apt analogy.
Wait, it's KLM? Wow. I cannot believe that KLM them out. That's hilarious.
Like, I mean, this wasn't recent, but someone reposted it, right?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Like the memes just make themselves, right?
yeah.
It's hilarious.
There's been a ton of news. We got a big show. There's a whole bunch of news. I swear, I leave for 1 week. This has happened every time. Every time I take a vacation or go offline for a week, the world explodes.
Yeah.
Trump gets
Oh yeah.
arrested. Or Trump gets
Indicted or-
whatever.
Whatever it is.
Found guilty on 34 completely made up crimes and all kinds of crazy stuff. Did you see the Rings of Power news?
I saw some Rings of Power news.
Guess who's in season 2, baby?
Uh-huh.
Tom Bombadil.
Well,
He's going to be hanging out with the stranger.
Not Gandalf.
Of course, that's not Gandalf. What are you
Yeah,
talking about?
well,
Why would it be
I heard
Gandalf?
this rumor circulating. Is this confirmed Tom Bombadil,
Yes.
or is this one of
Yes.
the Blue Wizards?
No, they're talking about him.
Okay.
Yeah, like the JD Payne is talking. They're using Tom Bombadil as their marketing strategy.
Oh.
Interesting that that's something that they're allowed to use. I guess I don't even know what they're allowed to use. It's so
Well, so it's expanded now.
weird. Yeah.
There are characters that they didn't have access to that they are now renting from the Tolkien estate.
So,
No,
okay.
I'm not joking.
Do we
Like
want to
Tom-
put money down? Are they going to mention the name Gandalf and the name Anatair? What do we think?
I would have to. I don't know if Anatar is used in the appendices. I would have to look it up.
But it could be one of the names that they write.
Ability to use those names now.
I'm assuming that it wasn't because otherwise they would have used it in season 1.
I read something about.
Yeah, Anatar maybe, Gandalf no. I don't think that they're going to be able to get the rights to Gandalf. They might be able to get what's now I'm going to look stupid. I only just barely read the Silmarillion, okay? But what's Gandalf's name before it's Gandalf? He's got another name. I'll look it up.
Oh, okay.
No, Mithrandir.
Mithrandir. There you go.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
As soon as you said it, I knew that was true. Yeah, they might get that name. There's no way they'll get the rights to Gandalf because
yeah,
Warner Brothers still owns the rights to the main story.
Which
I
still
just kind of
boggles.
love the fact that like they paid so much money for so little of it,
Yeah.
and then now they're having to pay more to get a little bit more of it for a little bit.
You ever heard of the sunk cost fallacy?
Exactly.
They have definitely been saying that they're not gonna fall for that sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah, part of the reason why they're just so full of themselves. They're saying Tom Bombadil has never been adapted before because he's hard to adapt because he doesn't have an agenda and he's not good or evil and he doesn't affect the plot in any way. And all of that is retarded and not true. Okay, it's true that he doesn't drive the plot, but he affects the plot a whole bunch, and he is the only reason why they're able to kill the Witch King. If you didn't know, it's because of the barrow daggers that he gives to all of the hobbits. It's not just a woman is the only one that can kill the Witch King. It's because he's stabbed in the leg by who's it? Merry or Pippin? It's Pippin, right?
Yeah, well,
I always
Mary.
get the two mixed
It's
up.
Mary. It's Mary.
Their roles are interchangeable.
Yeah, Mary's the one who stabs him in the leg.
With the Rohirrim at the time.
And that basically what happens is by stabbing him in the leg with the barrow dagger, it pulls him into the physical world, and then he's able to be slain by Hot Chick.
Right, I did hear that. Nice.
I have not read Enemy Mine. I've heard of it.
Do you guys know when this show is coming out? Have they announced it yet? No, right?
Yes. No. We got the date. Tom Bombadil is not mentioned in Silmarillion at all. No.
Okay.
He only appears in the Fellowship of the Ring, and it's implied that he has a large history and he's been around for a while. He's kind of like an eternal soul thing that. It's true he doesn't have like an agenda, and they ask him if he'll take the ring, and I believe it's Gandalf who interjects. He's like he'd forget that he was carrying it.
Yeah.
Maybe Gandalf mentions it later on, but Gandalf wasn't with them when they get Tom Bombadil.
Yeah, they have a discussion about it afterwards. And
Afterwards,
they're like, could he have taken it or something like that? You know? Yeah,
It
he's not with them.
They tried to offer it to him, and he was just kind of like not engaged with. So like again, I get kind of where they're coming from because he's just not engaged in the conflict. But he is also. They do, I believe, say that he is a good. Like he's on the side of good. Just isn't engaged in this conflict.
He is he is morally good. Yes.
It's almost like it's too small potatoes.
He just doesn't have an agenda.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jared. He doesn't. It's too small to bother him. Kind of the same thing with the Eagles too. You know, the Eagles don't get involved until they have to, right?
And again, like I kind of agree with part of this. Like I agree it was a smart move to take Tom Bombadil out of the movie.
Right.
And I feel like that's what he's trying to say here. I feel like that's what they're trying to say here. But the way they're saying it, it just demonstrates their sheer lack of knowledge about the source material, which is not good. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting, that's for sure. And they took down their post. The Fellowship of Fans posted, I believe it was today, a picture of... this is basically what they posted, except for it was illustration form. It was a picture of Saruman of many colors. It's a famous illustration. It's a beautiful illustration, but they're like, Happy Pride Month, because Saruman, he had pride, and everyone ratioed them, because they're like, this is literally the moment where he says, I'm the bad guy in the books.
Yeah.
And they took it down. That was really fast. That was this evening, guys.
Wow.
And OneRing.com doing God's work.
Yeah, One Ring has been a fire. I saw another interview.
His YouTube channel's fantastic.
Yeah.
If you're looking for lore stuff, don't go to OneRing.net. They're evil and have sold their souls to Satan. But OneRing.com is a fantastic YouTuber who knows his stuff. I tried to get him to come on this show. He's too busy. So.
Yeah.
And our channel's a little bit too small so far. Anyway, it's been crazy. It's been absolute. Oh, this is
Don't put my comment that I made from that.
This is not really. Did you see that the two protests got in a fight? The Free Palestine protesters got in a fight with the Pride Parade.
I made a really offensive joke that I wouldn't say because you guys, you guys don't really know South Park, so
I wasn't planning on bringing that one up.
Yeah,
but it was in the related ones.
Yeah, I was saying like avoid it so you wouldn't put it by accident.
Did you guys see this? They're doing another round of reshoots on Captain America, and they changed the name to Brave New World instead of New.
That's been out for a bit.
The name change has been out for a bit, which is a good change. Brave New World is still stupid, but it's better than straight up
New World Order.
New World Order.
I think is what it was. Yeah.
Saying, "Hey, we're communists now." What's funny though is everyone's pissed off because, well, not everyone. Idiots are pissed off because there's a Jew in the movie.
What?
Yeah. There's a Jewish superhero who's part of this story, and everyone is saying we won't watch. Well, not everyone. Idiots are saying we won't watch this movie.
Yeah.
If you have a pro-Israel superhero.
You mean Moon Knight? They have a Moon Knight cameo?
No, it's Sabra.
Oh, I don't know. I am not aware.
It's whoever. It's this lady. She's part of the story, and so now we're not watching it, and they're not watching it either. So this movie's going to do really, really well.
Yeah.
Mahershala Ali might leave Blade. I mean, he's been teetering on leaving Blade for a long time. I heard there was a new Jurassic World movie, but
I will be glad if he does because I think he deserves the money from Jurassic World. Like, I don't know if Jurassic World 4 would do good at all. The numbers on the third one were decent, but they were not what they were expected, to be honest.
Mexa, you were asking when Rings of Power Season 2 drops. It's August 29th.
Yeah,
they waited until after House of the Dragon announced.
Yeah, because they noticed
and then chose their date.
Yeah, they wouldn't be able to compete. And House of the Dragon is like, yeah, we're gonna take over the summer. They're like, yeah, we're gonna take over the summer.
Talking about House of the Dragon, I mentioned it last week that I'm reading the book, and I was hours in, and the TV show still hadn't started. David, I texted you. Do you remember? Let's see. I gotta pull it up because I didn't timestamp it. The House of the Dragon TV show starts. I've texted you too many things, David. When did I text you?
Into the book.
13 hours into the book.
Wow.
Holy.
House of the Dragon Season 1 starts 13 hours into the book.
But how big is this book? I thought it was just like a 200-page turner.
The book is 26 and a half hours long.
So literally halfway into the book is where this starts.
Halfway into the book. I'm currently 15 hours into the book, and season 1 is over.
Wow.
Almost. There's like 2 things that haven't, because they did change the order of a couple of events,
Right.
but season 1 lasted 2 hours.
Wow.
It's crazy.
This is why
It's a really good book.
This is why I'd really like if a lot of Brandon stuff gets adapted into TV shows so that they can take the time that they want to with it. Although I remember, what movie was it not that long ago? I don't think it was a new movie, but it was one that we watched for this. I was talking about, I'm like, this is a movie that like demonstrates how well you take a big story and you can condense it in a really good way. I think it might have been Dune. Was it Dune? I don't know. Maybe it was. But like, hey, if you could do it skillfully, great. But hey, if you've got the ability to do a TV show, do a TV show, because you can take your time and get everything in there.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you do it well, like House of the Dragon did it, all the better. I mean, that's really the key. That's really what you want. The central aspect to be, but whatever.
Yep.
Mark Clark, I liked your question, so I started a new poll, but I added a third option. Did it start? Oh, there we go. Now it's
Gonna go to the YouTube stream.
there we go.
Very good.
Winds of Winter Blade or Doors of Stone?
Oh man. I mean, I know what I want. I'm gonna answer what I want.
Yeah, how many reshoots has Captain America had now? I believe this is around 5.
Is it that many?
It might be only 3 or 4, but
At least four because it was previous. Do you not remember that they added Harrison Ford? So that's like second reshoot. Then the third reshoot, and this is the fourth one because
I think it might also be throwing us off because they took a while to get started on it after they'd done some initial stuff. Because I don't think Harrison was part of any reshoots.
Uh-huh.
But then also like there's you can also take off at least one of those for they plan reshoots. So there's some of that's expected, but there's definitely also additional ones that have been not planned, not expected because they really needed to work on.
That's part of the fact that you're hedging your bets and planning to have to reshoot a movie.
I mean, that's been the case for all of the MCU, even back to the Avengers. It's more of that they recognize that there's going to be a need for additional photography. So again, it's not actually a problem, but
I think that's a bad way of making movies.
It's like the discussion we had a couple of weeks ago when I was last here with where it's like it was the Agatha House of Harkness, Agatha all along thing, where maybe they intended that, and that is an almost clever idea, except that you're working with such terrible perception already that it just looks bad at this point. Whether or not it is as bad as it seems, it looks bad. So
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Like for me, reshoots always seems like a failed production. Like
it used to be more that
the
way.
production team doesn't do. I mean, that's why they had to do reshoots nowadays. Like that before, the reshoots were like rare because of I don't know.
There's also
past maybe I don't know like. Crazy
it is a little too
like
case by case basis because another example of like something you hear that would be like, oh man, this is terrible, is if they like have to recast an actor like weeks into shooting or something like that. Mm-hmm. But an example of where that happened and it was actually good is Back to the Future. Where they change. So and that happens from time to time.
And Lord of the Rings.
And Lord of the Rings, So
they recast Aragorn.
Recast in there, right? So
but they were like exceptional.
Yeah, but that happened like before, like they shot for like a day, 2 days, and then realized this is not working.
Yeah.
There's also
the idea that it's like the same thing with studio interference versus studio like collaboration. It just depends on whether it actually is successful, but it's always going to be there,
There's also a difference, but there's also a big difference though between additional photography and reshoots. Because like additional photography, that's the kind of thing where you're like, okay, you film the movie, and then a couple months before it comes out, you have to plan what the post-credit scene is going to be. So you add additional photography. Like for the MCU, that makes sense, right? If we're not sure what we're going to tease next, sure, but that's not
a lot of the time too,
reshoots
it comes down to the edit though, because they have a plan of what they're going to do, and then they they pull together the edit and like, shoot, this is too long. We got to cut some scenes. So they have to cut this scene, and they say, okay, well, now we have to go back and refilm some stuff because if we cut this scene, there's some stuff that doesn't make sense out of context.
Yeah, I don't
Right.
blame the editor.
And that's normal. And lots of
Yeah.
movies.
So
that's why, again, I'm like,
But it's usually just one reshoot, maybe two.
a round or two of reshoots is not in and of itself terrible. It can be, just like anything else. Like, it just depends on what's going on. We don't know on the side of it, but just to hear that that's going on. Whereas, again, with this one, there's definitely been a handful of additional reshoots that are actually an indication of it was bad. But also, the fact that they're reshooting something that was bad means that there's a chance that they're improving it. If we look at the track record of it, maybe we're not super confident in the likelihood that that's happening. But them reshooting it means they're continuing to work on it, not just saying, well, forget it, we're just going to put out a bad movie.
Yeah, but Marvel's been reshooting entire movies, not just like
the Marvels,
Daredevil, the Marvels,
Marvels.
this, the other one, the other TV show, Echo was Echo went through like 6 reshoots.
Oh, and then
That was
the same thing with
completely
DC
sad,
for
like,
the
2 times.
Batwoman show that they just kept doing reshoots, and then they said, nope, never mind, it's not coming out ever.
Yeah.
I mean, that woman is the other thing.
I didn't remember that one went through a bunch of reshoots, but I know that one got scrapped, obviously. But
yeah. Anyway, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world, but it's generally not a good sign. It's usually a sign of incompetence. Like they just don't know what they want to do with the movie. But even if they did know what they wanted to do with this movie, it's still going to tank. It's still going to be awful because Captain America isn't in it. So I thought this was interesting, and I liked Furiosa, but it did flop. It's not performing well, and I think that Nerdrotic hit it right on the head. It doesn't matter that Furiosa is a good movie, and you should watch it because I loved it. This is Hollywood did this to themselves. The Hollywood girl boss has done more damage to good female leads than any misogynist could have done.
the only other argument I would have against that, though, is that you also still look at Fall Guy, also completely flopped, and it was a good movie. There's a lot of these movies that have been good movies lately that have just been flopping. And to me, it's not a matter of the girl boss or the content of it necessarily. It's just
but the reason people didn't watch Fall Guys because they didn't know what it was. But every single person who I talked to who didn't watch Furiosa, and every person I've seen online is like, why would I want to watch a Mad Max movie without Mad Max in it? And because that's how I felt too. And I was wrong. It's a great movie. But I almost didn't watch it.
Yeah.
Not only that, but the first movie Furiosa was like kind of a girl boss,
Yeah.
Too much, too much to an extent. I liked it. I love Mad Max. When I watched it on the Chroma version, I loved it. I didn't like
talked
it
about
when
that
I
last
watched
time.
it on the regular version for some reason. Maybe I just colorblind. I don't know. But yeah, I haven't watched Furiosa, to be honest. But that's the only movie that I'm planning on watching this year, probably on IMAX. And that's I wanted to watch Dune, but it already came out on streaming, so
That's I think what's really doing a lot of damage to it.
It's crazy.
That's the other thing too. That to me makes me not necessarily get 100% behind what you're saying with this, because also not only that Furiosa flopped, but it's the slowest Memorial Day weekend in 30 years. A holiday weekend tends to be a big day for people going out to the movies.
Yeah.
And there's some other at least decent movies in there. Fall Guy's already out on digital, but I think I've seen it in some theaters. If was at least enjoyable, and that's a great one to take all the kids to and everything. But nobody wants to go to the theaters because they're like, well, only if they're super excited about it. But if they're mildly excited about it, they're like, well, maybe I'll just wait because it's going to be on streaming like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of streaming,
also
I got 20 ads this week for the Marvels. They're like, now streaming on Disney Plus. Hasn't the Marvels been streaming for months?
It's
December.
yeah.
Like,
Those sorts of
When-
things pop up every
It's
now
not
and
an. It's
Why are they
not
making this
just
on
now
Netflix?
released, right? It's been on Disney Plus for a long time.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it was released by December. Like, I'm pretty sure it was released by the holidays.
Why am I getting all these ads for the Marvels?
My only guess would be that they might, and I don't think this is what happened at all. I think it's just been on there, and they're probably just pushing a like, hey, for some
The
reason,
4K?
if somehow one person out there hasn't heard about it, we're going to let them know. Possibly they might have farmed it out to another streaming service for a little bit, and it just got back. But I really think it's been there the whole time. So I'm just trying to take a guess as to where that could be coming from. I don't know.
Abellio didn't like Furiosa. It really worked for me, man. I liked it, but I also understand. You know,
Maybe if I watch the Chroma. When
it's
do they
definitely
release the DVD?
different from Mad Max Fury Road, but I enjoyed it a lot.
Oh, it's different.
Just pacing wise, it's a very different. It's a very unique film.
and I haven't seen any of the
It
Mad
doesn't
Max
go
movies.
through a lot of the traditional storytelling beats, which is why I liked it a lot. It
I wanted to
it
ask
felt
you.
fresh.
I wanted to ask you because you already watched it. There's no issue if I watch the dub because she doesn't talk, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, you
Very little,
watched
it
it.
sounds like.
I mean, but this guy, the Thor guy, Chris Hemsworth,
Hemsworth, yeah.
does he talk?
Yeah,
talks a little bit
his
more,
performance is pretty good. I don't know how good the dub's gonna be.
Yeah, yeah. But based on your experience, what would you say? Because I don't want to walk 4 miles to the theater. Yeah, I don't have a bike.
I liked it. Abellio didn't.
Oh, I can take an Uber.
The whole
Why would
plot
I
is
walk
allowed to
4 miles?
continue because of convenience. I disagree. I disagree with that. You should get on and argue with me. But I felt like there were pretty good explanations for why things because I was expecting that to happen. I was hoping. Yeah, I'll send you a link. Give me a second.
Boom in, coach. And the IMAX is worth it. Did you watch it on IMAX?
No.
But do you think that it would have been worth it so I can save a little bit of pesos?
I don't know. You liked Fury Road.
I love visually Fury Road. Like visually
It's
Fury Road was
pretty
a masterpiece.
visually stunning too. So
Well,
the
one of the
pacing
things I've heard
is a lot slower. It's a lot slower. It's a very it's not a super traditional story, but that's why I kind of liked it. So here I'm sending
I'll
that
see.
value link.
4DX. Do you think
Speaking
4DX?
of,
You're going to throw sand in my eyes?
Yeah,
The action scenes are really fun.
4D cinema.
It takes a while. It's not as much action as Fury Road, but when it gets to an action sequence, there's some tasty sequences in there.
So I just wait for the streaming service, like Mark Clark says.
Probably, it'll be out very soon, right? Did they
Yeah,
announced
it has to
didn't
be
they?
like out in like a month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's on.
I mean, it's hard because of the economy, you know.
Hello.
That's why it makes it
Hello.
also harder.
Hello. All right, tell me why I'm wrong about Furiosa.
My brother in Christ. Are you kidding me?
I loved it. I had fun. I was expecting to hate it the entire time, and I was just like, this is good.
So immediately into the movie.
Okay, I'm gonna head out because it's
Okay.
spoilers.
Yeah,
See you guys.
spoilers. Yeah,
Have a good
get out of
week.
here.
See you,
Thank you, Alvio. Have a good night, Alvio. See ya.
Later, Mexican. So I did enjoy the movie like overall, sort of like Fallout. I didn't have a problem with most of it, but the plot conveniences were horrendous. Also, hello, stream. I didn't mean to just barge in and take over everything.
Oh no, it's okay.
But
No one else has seen the movie, so it's fine.
Oh, great, awesome. So, the first thing that really drove me nuts was the Chinese auto aim through mountain dunes. That didn't bother you
in
at
the
all?
opening sequence.
Oh yeah, throughout the whole movie, yes. So you have the mother, who
Yeah.
so she's able to shoot people through a mountain, like through a mountain of dune that you couldn't fit a sandworm through.
No, she was. It was every time they crested a dune.
No. So I just got out of this.
Okay. I'll have to rewatch it.
After they so after she cuts the line, chews through the line, and they get over the dune.
Which I thought that was cool. I liked that.
Yeah, there's plenty of small details that work really well in the movie. I thought it was fine. But they come over the hill, and just as they get over the dune, the one guy gets capped from behind, and then the two come to a stop.
Okay, I'll have to rewatch it. I thought she was hitting him every time they crested a dune.
No.
Okay, all right.
And
okay, if that's true, that's a plot hole.
Yeah, so he runs back and he checks over the hill, and she hasn't even crested the hill that she eventually does. And it's like, how did he make that? How did she make that shot? Presumably while driving as well.
Right.
And then she makes multiple shots of that nature, and then Furiosa herself does the same thing later in the movie. Now, I'm willing to waive things like, there's no training, so how does she do it? Like, the movie takes place over a long enough period of time that
right.
I'm willing to give that, unlike, Rey Palpatine.
Yeah.
But
it does a good job of showing time has passed and she's learned things.
Yes. The biggest convenience that really drove me nuts was how they force her escape and losing her arm. So you've seen it.
Okay.
David, Bearded, have you guys seen this movie?
No, but it's fine.
Okay.
I assume you're talking about what's on her. You're talking about what's on her arm.
Not how she gets it, but how she loses her arm in the first place. So in mind you, I've never seen any of the Mad Max films. So this is like Fallout. This was totally unbiased for me. So after she holds out the shotgun, which I realized was a reference to the old movies, because I'm aware of the double barrel. She doesn't lose the arm from the giant wheels, which I thought was interesting. But then they chain her arm up and they hoist her up on a winch, and she's not quite able to touch the ground. So she's like barely touching it with the tips of her boots. And then after they take the dude and they chain him to the back of a bike, and then they drag him in a circle while the dogs maul him, everybody else around Dementis
just forgets about her.
It's not just that.
Yeah,
they're all going in the exact reverse circle. So the guy is dragging everybody. Jack is his name.
Yeah,
they're dragging Jack into everybody's view because they're all crossing each other. In the middle of this, Furiosa rips off her left arm, does not cauterize it, does not stop it from bleeding.
She could have tourniqueted it. I agree. This is probably like the worst part of the movie.
And then steals a bike from someone and drives off.
For me, it was implied that there was a lot of dust, and they assumed that she was captured and injured. So no one was. It's dumb that no one. I agree. It's dumb that no one was watching her.
The only dust was under the nose of the writer.
Yeah. I agree. I'll give you that one. That was the one moment where I was like, yeah, someone should have been watching her, but they didn't want. The problem was they could have showed a reasonable way for her to escape that situation, but they didn't want to because they wanted it to be a surprise when they cut to, oh no, it's just her arm there. And the movie shoots itself in the foot. Because there are ways you could explain it. Yes, there was a bunch of dust, and they were focused on the revelry of the capture and torturing the guy, and they were distracted. There could have been an easy explanation for her sequence of escape, but the fact that it doesn't show it is, yes, I agree. It's problematic.
Yeah, that's one of those moments where they wrote themselves into a corner, and they just were like, I hope no one's paying attention. And then just
No,
let
I
it
agree
go.
with you there.
Generally, like I said, I didn't mind it, but there. I was talking.
Come on.
My
The truck
lady,
scene was good, right? The fight scene was good on the
uh,
truck. The big set piece. The
yeah,
the hauler
she's
where they get
under the
attacked.
truck,
Ooh, that was marvelous.
when she starts under the truck, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I did enjoy it. There was a detail that I was talking with my lady about. I really like martial arts fight scenes and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Grew
Are
up
you
on all-
excited for the Acolyte then?
God no.
Have you seen? You've seen. It's a kung fu movie now. It's not
Yeah,
Star Wars.
I saw the teaser that spoiled the twist. Um, I there's a movie in particular that I really liked because when in high school I got into Muay Thai, and the movie The Protector got me into that because Tony Jaa was a Thai
I need to
fighter.
see that one.
And there's a sequence in the movie. It's an illicit restaurant, so they're eating all kinds of exotic animals, and the guy's trying to find his elephant. And the fight sequence starts at the base of the stairwell. So the whole restaurant is a tall cylindrical room that has a spiraling staircase that goes up with multiple floors, going to different stores and whatnot.
Which Protector is this? Because there's like 3 of them, right?
The first one.
Okay.
So that fight sequence is something like 10 or 15 minutes, one shot, single take,
Yeah.
and they just masterfully execute it. It's fantastic. But it makes sense that something like that lasted as long as it did because there were just people coming out of, it's like this massive
Yeah.
black market. There's a lot of people there in the area. The one thing that I did not like about the big set piece,
I know what you're gonna say.
is where everybody just kept coming out of nowhere.
They did keep coming, and you're like, well, why didn't you all come at once? Yeah.
Yeah, because right when you think that first wave of guys is done, it's like, oh, okay, there might be a few more. Okay, no problem. And then the guys come in paragliding. It's like, okay, they're done. And then
I
more...
loved the big octopus thing though. I don't know what it was for, but it looked really cool.
I don't know what it was for either.
But I agree. Yeah, it was like, okay, they just keep coming, don't they? But I was having fun. But I agree. The movie's not perfect. Fury Road is a better movie. But
Yeah, I haven't seen it. The clips afterward and everything that I've heard about Fury Road is that it's generally considered to be the best of the Mad Max films.
Production value, probably, yeah. I think the story for 2 is, well, 2 is really good. But yeah, Fury Road is good too.
I've heard that this makes that it lines up really well with making Fury Road feel like a great sequel to this movie. Obviously, it is a prequel. Everybody knows it's a prequel, but it almost like better than most prequels feels like, oh yeah, this leads straight into, or really feels like it ties to.
What I was worried about,
what
I was worried about the whole time is that there wasn't going to be a good excuse for why she doesn't just go home. But
I was wondering that the whole time. Like, you have it tattooed in your arm, just leave.
Yeah, but she does try to, and then stuff happens, and then she loses her arm, and I guess she doesn't know how to get back without a map.
Well, there's 2 issues here on that. One, she knows exactly where to go.
Yeah.
Because she was taught how to use the stars and how to map out.
So why does she need to tattoo it, right?
Exactly. So having that, I was like, okay, they're gonna force her to like lose the arm, and I thought the son was gonna do it. Like, he was going to like cut off her arm for like one reason or another, and then throws it away. And she's like, "Oh no! Now I don't know how to get back," and she has to adapt. Nope, that completely went out the window, and she just rips it off herself. And
yeah, see, I thought the reason they made her lose her arm was so that the Chris Hemsworth wouldn't recognize who she was.
It's been so long. There's no way that he would have, because by that point, it's you know what, it's anywhere from 5 to 10 years. Also, the other contrivance, because it's not just convenience. There are a few contrivances. what what to pick your brain a little, because what
Yeah.
was her plan if she was going to be underneath the truck that's going to Gastown? What was her plan with all of that food? Drop and roll and hope to God no one sees her?
I don't think she was planning an escape then. Like her
She had
job
all the
was
food.
her job was to be underneath the rig, because she was working with the other guy who was down there with her. I think she was storing up food for an eventual escape. I don't think that was the moment that she planned on escaping.
I don't know, because she
literally hands tools to the guy.
No, so the night before they leave, she's stuffing food under the truck, right above the drive axle. And then she holds up a bottle of urine to make it seem like she was using the bathroom to try to hide away from things, and that's the
okay.
guy
It could have been
right.
It could have been her plan then.
And so when they do get attacked on the road, and the bike gets stuck underneath the wheels and everything comes smashing through, it gets stuck in the chain, and then she grabs onto it and lifts it a little bit. I don't know how she pulled that one off, but she holds the bike up against the drivetrain. All of the food gets just lost out from underneath the truck.
Yeah.
And then the guy goes underneath to try to help restore power to the second engine. He doesn't notice her until he's trying to climb back up, but he gets injured and he can't keep going. So he dies and drops off after handing her the short piece of rubber tubing to replace, to fix the damage to the gas line. So it's implied very heavily, because another detail
that she wasn't supposed to be there.
Well, yes, but the detail I do like is that the movie really relies on show, don't tell, which is so appreciated. I'm so tired of getting
it doesn't hold your hand.
But because it's implied that she's obviously trying to make an escape, either right now or on the way or down the line, I don't understand her plan. She's just there because the action scene requires her to be, and here's a contrivance to get her into the scene, and then things just kind of work out in the end. She's lost all of her food. She's lost all of her supplies. She happens to survive the situation, which, again, the whole sequence was pretty well done, shy of the... I don't know about you, but the shoddy CGI in this movie.
I have heard there was some issues.
It was better than it looked in the trailers, but there were some sequences where you're like, that could have been better.
Yeah, there were some of the sequences. Just as an example, Bearded and David, the motion for some of these CGI objects is jagged, like 90s CGI.
Yeah, it's in the wide shots where you get you can tell a lot of the pickup shots they didn't do practically. If you see motorcycles in the distance, they're kind of jump around, and you're like, okay, that wasn't great. But a lot of the close-up shots that looked bad in the trailer, like the scene where she's at the gate and the explosions behind her, that looked terrible in the trailer, and everyone's like, this is going to be garbage. And then in the movie, I was like, wait, they fixed that. So, but there definitely were some scenes that weren't as pivotal that had some weak CGI.
Yeah,
but
there are. I don't know why they keep doing this in this world, but there are a lot of scenes where motorcycles are picked up and moved on cranes or chains and whatnot. But they have, instead of it being like a fluid motion, like you're handing you've got a 5-gallon bucket and you hand it down, it stops at the 90 and then moves at a 45 and then rotates at a 45, and it's just, the motion is rough.
Yeah.
It's not all of it.
Yeah.
There are some close-up shots that are really rough too. Like early on, like I mentioned, the bikers that are getting gunned down by the mother. It's like they're very clearly on a green screen, and everything in the distance is just completely CGI.
I forgot to bring it up last time, but what I think my biggest complaint, production-wise, not plot-wise, was The first was Fury Road did a really, really good job with sound design. In like when people are in these cars and chasing, like they are yelling their lines. And
Good.
there were some parts in this movie where they were just talking.
They're just kind of mumbling.
And you're like, you are on the back, you are in a cage on the back of a motorcycle, and you guys are whisper talking to each other.
Yeah.
It does, like, and the first movie did a really good job. So that was my biggest complaint. But
I did appreciate how, and this is something I've noticed a lot more now that I've.
I love Chris. But go on.
Oh, Chris Hemsworth. I didn't like the accent, but he did a good job.
I loved his character. I thought his performance was fantastic. But you were going to say something.
I appreciate how dry the sound effects were.
Yes.
Because you know, like in like a video game or something, anytime it's not
like
some gory moment happens and it's like a splash effect.
Yes.
You know, like everything was very dry and metallic, and I appreciated that because it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you care for horror movies or not, but
not generally, but I've imbibed.
What's it called? Bone Tomahawk.
I know that's one I need to watch.
Okay.
And I haven't done it yet.
It has a particularly brutal scene, but it really sticks with you after watching it because the scene is
sound
they
design.
tried to make it more realistic. That sloppy splash crunch, like Resident Evil, like you blow up a head and it's just like that sound effect's not there. It sounds like you're chopping meat with a dull axe, like, and for that scene it works perfectly.
Is that why the movie's called Bone Tomahawk?
Kinda. Wink wink.
Yeah, I've heard the ending of that movie's pretty messed up, which is why I want to watch it, because I like getting messed up.
Well, it's Kurt Russell. You'll like it.
I read Joe Abercrombie, okay? I'm a sadist.
But not enough to watch a lot of horror movies.
Is it sadism or masochism? Which one's the one where you like hurting yourself? It's masochism.
Masochism, yeah.
I'm a masochist.
Yeah, sadism is pleasure.
Yeah, one's like you like hurting, one like you like getting hurt.
Yeah.
Sadist is others, masochist is.
I don't like hurting other people.
Definitely check out the Masochism Tango.
So why do you recommend reading Joe Abercrombie?
Because it's the good kind of messy up. It's so well written. It's fantastic.
One of these days.
Anyway. Well, I'm sad you didn't like the movie more. I agree with your criticisms. They didn't bother me as much. But, yeah. It's like a 7 out of 10 for me. And Fury Road is a 10 out of 10.
Sure. I didn't come in here to hate, but
No, I wanted to. I like this kind of discussion.
Yeah. The conversation around Furiosa has been interesting because I don't know if you
How did you like the ending though? That it skips over the big battle. It worked for me. It worked for me, and I know it pissed a lot of people off. But what it gave instead of that, I thought was very, very interesting. And Chris Hemsworth's like final moments of like, you're not going to get what you want from me. I just like, I really liked that.
I like that he. I do like his character because he managed to somewhat hold it over on Furiosa, even though they heavily imply that she did something very different to him that he didn't think about.
Yeah.
Which really kind of ruins the whole idea of the acorn, I suppose. But that's just me, or pine cone, or whatever she.
The peach pit.
Yeah. But I personally would have liked to see something a little bit more conclusive, only because they kept throwing in more and more like extended action scenes almost unnecessarily.
Yeah.
But I also understand on the flip side of that it allowed for the ending to be more personal for her with Dementus. So it's I get both sides of it.
Yeah. I just thought narratively it was very interesting. It made choices that I wasn't expecting, and it felt refreshing. Plot contrivances aside, it felt like something I'd never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what like I like seeing original stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need more of that, and it has the potential to totally flop. And I think that an original story that doesn't work is a whole lot more interesting than a Marvel movie.
Agreed. It's a shame too, because 168, I believe, was the production budget, and it hasn't broken 70 globally.
Yeah, it's
So yeah,
Yeah,
29.
make
So
around 300 to break even.
it's not doing good.
Yeah, it's going to need somewhere around there because rule of thumb, double it, possibly triple it, depending on how big the movie is.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember for different rule of thumbs, but yeah, like 1.5 to 3, 2, 2.
And if it doesn't do well, it might halt production on the sequel to Fury Road, which I was really excited for.
Pretty sure that was canceled already. Now that I think about it.
Did they?
The quartering, I think, had something on that.
That's not good.
But yeah. So the conservatively, the estimates I've gone with are like, so you have the production budget, and then you effectively double it over at minimum because of 50% for advertising and 50% for marketing.
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot.
Yeah, so the 168 is like 326, 336, something like that. It needs like 350 million to be successful financially to get it out of even just the yellow. But yeah, it's like globally, even with Memorial Day included, it didn't break 70 million, which is rough.
It's crazy. I mean, nothing's doing well.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the box office for Garfield either, but I assume it's not doing.
I actually heard that it did okay, and then it actually, because like the preview stuff, like they apparently smashed preview stuff.
Look, I did see it this week. I saw it because my kid loves Garfield. But we saw it on a Tuesday, which is like the $5 day.
Mm-hmm.
And our theater was pretty full on a Tuesday night at, I think, a 6 o'clock showing. But I live in a family town, and everyone takes their families to the movies on Tuesdays.
This is definitely one that could be good for
I hated it. I hated the movie. My kid loved it. He was laughing the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I did not like the Garfield movie, and I love Chris Pratt. I thought his performance was fine. I have no idea what kind of story they were trying to tell. The movie is 90% exposition and 10% plot.
Oh no!
Yeah.
It is so bad. And it's not just me. Have you seen this? The Garfield movie is a corporate psyop.
Huh.
This article is hilarious.
I just got a contact high from the copium in this article.
No. It's actually really funny. It's saying the movie is designed to desensitize kids to AI and delivery drones, so that robots, when they take over the world, they won't have any resistance. Literally.
I will say though, Odie was by far the highlight and the hero of the movie.
Yeah, sure. I don't understand why the climax of the movie was predicated on we have to find a way to get off the train, and so we're going to put a trampoline at the bottom of the hill. And then before they get there, literally hundreds of drones arrive, and Garfield flies away on one of them and uses them to attack the bad guys. And they could have just used those to get off of the train.
That was the backup plan after they realized that the trampoline was too tight, and
that was the one time I laughed. The one time I laughed in the movie was the trampoline's too tight, and they bounced right back up and fell back on the plane. And I was like, That was a funny joke.
There were a couple of giggles in it, or mild.
I hated this movie.
Like, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah,
I'd like to
I'm not going to
imagine
defend it much. It was nothing special. It was fine, but it was nothing special. It was just a movie.
Look, the plot is we have to get off this train, or they're gonna kill my dad. And I don't know why Garfield needs a dad. Like, the whole point of Garfield is his relationship with John.
Yeah.
But he's got Samuel L. Jackson as his dad.
Which that's always fun to have Samuel L. Jackson, and the cow thing was voiced by the guy that did Cobra Bubbles from Lilo and Stitch. Took me like 5 minutes thinking in the movie to figure that out. That entertained me for a little while. I'm like, hey, that makes me happy because I like that.
Yeah.
Rames, I think, yeah.
So I've pulled up the numbers. And sadly, I think Garfield may have lost the battle, but won the war. So currently, the estimated budget, again, production budget for Furiosa is 168 million. Worldwide gross is only 115. So
well, we're only a weekend or two in, so they might break even.
That's going to be tough. They'd have to have, because they dropped something like 60% or more.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So that ain't happening. Now, if we switch over to Garfield, the budget for this production was 60 million. And worldwide, it's made over 152.
It's a lot easier to recoup that kind of money, though.
That's one of the huge things. Is really like it's the movies that are costing less than $100 million that are able to just make enough money, and more often than not, they also end up being as good, if not better, than the big budget, huge blowout blockbuster movies.
Yeah,
that's
been that's been the mentality of several studios like Blumhouse.
Yep.
They just like
throw
throw stuff at the wall, keep the budget super simple. They made a lot of stinkers, and they made a lot of really good ones.
Godzilla -1 was literally the best movie of last year.
Oh yeah,
and it was a fraction of the budget of any Hollywood movie.
It's a tough one-to-one comparison because of it not being made in Hollywood and Japan. But it's still, even if you do all kinds of extra translation over to it, it still came out as a fraction of the price, like maybe half the price of something. Probably more like a quarter of the price of a lot of the things you'd find.
There is something odd about that too, because it's also a cultural difference. Because remember, the way people work here is pretty hard and everything, but we are not driven like slaves in Japan. That is
that's a big part of it.
Yeah,
the pay scale is not the same, even with a comparison with the,
on top of that, we also know that Godzilla -1 wasn't just exploiting workers like that. Like, the director himself had to learn how to do CGI so he could get his movie done.
Yeah,
probably with somebody at the
there
CGI
is probably some of that though.
Yeah. But it still comes down to, because again, you even try to translate that directly over and give as much, you pay people X amount more, like a greater amount or greater percentage or whatever. It still would have been a fraction. It still would have been like maybe half the cost of a lot of these other big budget movies. It would have been, 50 million or something like that. I don't know.
Also, Garfield didn't need to make any money in theaters because half of the movie is ad placements.
Really?
No. It is everywhere. What was the movie that we talked about a couple months ago, where we talked about the CGI Pepsi can?
Madam Web.
Was that Madam Web?
Yeah.
This had more product placement than Madam Web.
Yeah.
With the giant Pepsi Cola sign.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you could. Were you on that episode when we talked about that?
I believe so.
Yeah, they CGI'd they were holding a can and they changed it to a Pepsi can.
Yeah.
With CGI. Ugh. Yeah.
That other scene with the Mountain Dew that kept rotating to face the camera, the label facing the camera at every reverse shot.
My son called him out. Like, he liked the movie, right? Because he just likes anything Garfield. He likes the Garfield TV show, which is like the worst. It is so bad, and he loves it. But he even called him out. He was like, it's not supposed to be Olive Garden, Dad. It's supposed to be Vito's.
Nice.
Yeah, it was like Sony, Olive Garden, what was the other, the drone company, whatever it was, Amazon, no, it was Walmart delivery.
Right.
It was everywhere. It was crazy.
Wow.
So
I just like to imagine you're sitting there and your son's like, "Yay, thank you, Daddy. I love you so much." In the meantime, in your head, you're like, "I'm gonna put you back."
no, like it wasn't. Yeah, I was just confused the whole time. I was like, they are making choices in this film, and I don't understand them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an odd one. Okay, trying to give a little bit of the good to it. I've always one of the things I liked about The Last Jedi the most was the Rashomon effect aspect of their storytelling with the Ben and Luke backstory. Even though the rest of it, the storytelling narrative aspect was really, really cool. That was the first time I had seen it because I haven't seen as many of the older movies that would have taken advantage of that. And they almost kind of did something like that here, where we got Garfield's perspective on adopting John, and then you got to see the dad's perspective.
I don't know why that was a story they wanted to tell about Garfield.
Yeah. Well, I don't know either, but I'm just trying to come up with something positive about it. Like there was not just it was a movie, and I didn't hate myself watching.
No, they tried really hard to be like, this is a family movie, and I just, but it was just so forced. It was so forced. None of it made sense, and I don't know why. Because you can put in a great family message, and I think the golden standard is like the Lego Movie, right? The Lego Movie is funny. Yeah. It's made for kids. It's got stupid jokes in it that are funny for kids, and then at the very end, it hits you like, hey, no, like this movie's actually about family, you big idiot. And you're like, oh wow, adults are gonna get something out of this movie randomly too. This movie felt like it was geared more towards the adults than the kids.
That's weird. That's a weird choice.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would also say though, like even though it's got the kid like vibe to it, being all animated and bright and colorful and everything, and like it's marketed to kids. At the same time, I mean, Garfield doesn't seem like a popular and even comic strips in general aren't big among kids these days. I don't think. Like even for us in our generation, growing up,
Captain Underpants and Dogman are freaking huge.
Okay, all right, I'll give you that. But I'm thinking like the Sunday comics sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Nobody gets papers to have the Sunday comics anymore. Who?
It's Lean Cuisine lasagna.
Marie Callender's.
Oh, that's good.
Can you imagine if they made that the actual story? Like he just gets fed these really low tier like Chef Boyardee lasagnas, and he's like, "I need the real stuff." And it's like the Twinkie trait from Zombieland. Woody Harrelson's character, and he's just like, "It's not the taste.
I need real lasagna. All I'm getting are these processed foods."
He's just like scratching himself the whole time. Like, guys, you have any lasagna?
Yeah.
He has to.
Wow.
Take a trip to Italy to get to the source. That would be a better movie.
Yeah. I also this is the smallest dumbest thing, but I always love the fact that they've made jokes about how fat Garfield is, where his dad is literally like 4 times the size of him.
Right.
I mean, yes, Garfield's supposed to be a fat cat, but what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was weird just from watching the trailer. I'm like, why is there a cat fatter than Garfield? He's supposed to be a really, really fat cat.
He's just bigger. He's just a big cat. He's not.
No, they make that the joke in one of the scenes is they're crawling through an air duct,
and
his dad goes first, and then he gets stuck, and he's like, I don't understand. You're bigger than me, and I got stuck, and like that was the joke, but I was like, no, it just doesn't make sense.
It just doesn't make sense. I forgot about that.
I get that you're saying that that's the joke, but also I would like to know.
I would like that to be somewhat, I don't know, consistent.
They tried to write it off with an Yzma and Kronk.
Yeah.
How do we get here before you?
They were trying for,
it doesn't make sense.
That might have been what they were trying for, but it didn't land there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting that the story you say is like so focused on adults because it reminds me of the Flintstones movie from the 90s.
Oh yeah.
I need to watch. I need to watch that again. They did two of them, didn't they?
I don't think so.
Yeah, but no one. No, we don't talk about the second.
Did they really make a second one with
Yeah.
Doug Goodman?
I never saw that as a kid.
I don't think. Oh, I watched it as a kid. I was confused as hell.
Yeah.
Mommy, what's embezzlement? Like, like, why is this happening? Why is Halle Berry hitting on John Goodman?
Is it? I assume it's
was in there too. Holy crap!
Yeah.
I assume it's something like the Cat in the Hat movie, where you're like they tried to capitalize on the success of The Grinch, and just ended up going like way too far with the.
No, this was. I mean, this was a long time before that.
I'm saying a similar situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because in that early '90s, you had the Boomerang channel on Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
So they brought all the old Hanna-Barbera cartoons back while also
Right.
running the newer stuff like Courage the Cowardly Dog. So everyone's like, "Oh, Flintstones, that's cool. Let's make a movie." And then they were like, "Cool, how do we do it? Bring in this pretty good cast from the '80s. All right, now make it entirely about embezzlement and the inner politics of running a corporate business. All right, where's the family? Yes."
Yeah.
I was so lost as a kid.
I assume you're asking about the Garfield movie. I thought the animation was pretty good, actually. I just didn't like the story. Yeah, it's 3D animation, but it looked good to me.
Yeah.
It's no. It didn't look like Into the Spider-Verse or
Wasn't cool like Arcane.
But it was good.
Yeah.
I was hoping Jared would be on so I could complain about Doctor Who.
Well, let's get
Won't be able to
into
contribute on that one.
let's get into the Jinx before Bearded has to go.
Albel, thanks for coming on and talking about Furiosa. You're welcome to stay.
Yeah, thank you.
You can leave anytime you want, though, if you have to go. Oh yeah, the Jinx was. Have you watched the Jinx, man?
I have not. No.
You should.
Yeah,
It's fantastic.
Yep.
The ending of season 2 is kind of. It's not. I wouldn't say disappointing. It's just a bummer.
Yeah.
It's a huge bummer because it's real life, and that's the problem.
And a lot of it was just like recapping things and
kind of setting up
everything.
the ideas of like the rest of like the fact that, especially the way that the episode started out, which was like, so Bob Durst was convicted, but this shouldn't have been about Bob Durst. It should like there were so many other people. There's so many other issues. This was about Bob killing Susan, but there's still nothing about Kathy. There's still like no justice for that family. There's no justice about these other people that had helped him and get away with this for so long.
I think, as for a true story, I think they ended it the best way that they possibly could have, and it just sucks that it's a bummer of an ending. But I liked the direction that they took, saying like, hey, no, this wasn't just Bob. It was about everyone who sold their souls just for a little bit of his money to protect a murderer.
I actually wonder if they're going to try to keep going after the life that is it Deborah Sheridan.
I don't think they're Deborah.
They can't.
Well, they're doing some, but you're right. They can't do.
I don't think they have enough to go on there.
Yeah,
but
I think the McCormick family, Kathy's family, is still trying to sue her.
And that's still going on.
But
it'll go on for years.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I was looking at it and thinking, really, very, very seriously, like you see in that episode that Debbie was brought in to replace Susan, and like Susan was his go-to. She was the one that spun everything and was the PR person for him and handled everything for him during Kathy's time.
She was his ride or die.
Yeah, and then when the Kathy stuff started coming back up in the '80s, and Susan looked like she was going to flop on him, he gets involved and he marries her so that they have a lot more protection and there's a little more connection there.
Well, yeah,
the craziest reveal of the entire series though was that he was married to what's her name, Becky? What? Deborah. He's married to Deborah for 15 years so that she can't testify against him, and the entire time she's basically married to someone else. She has a live-in boyfriend. They probably never spent a single night together as husband and wife.
They didn't spend their wedding night together.
They got married. Exactly. They got married, and he hopped on a plane to go murder Susan.
That was the bit that I really was like, oh, like of course I knew it, but at the same time it really connected there, where it's like, oh yeah, he married her because she is replacing Susan. Like, that
it's crazy. If you're not watching the Jinx, you need to change.
Go watch it. Yeah, the one that really blew our minds, that was just hilarious, and this is a few weeks old, so I think I missed the week that we talked about this one, but was because I think I talked to David about it last week when we were out visiting him. Was So, Bob, you say you have this memory of playing Uno and Frisbee with your mom and dad.
Oh, yes.
Back in the 50s. You know, those weren't even invented until the 70s. And it's like, Frisbee I could give, like, you were throwing around a thing. Maybe the brand wasn't around. But Uno, you're literally playing Uno, and that one wasn't invented for like 30 years after what you're talking about.
So you're telling us that you've testified to the entire court that you have memories of playing Frisbee and Uno with your mother, and how much you loved your mother so much that her death caused you to go in this massive depression and all this stuff. And do you realize that the Uno wasn't even invented until like years later? That was so good. The whole I think you've broken the record for perjury in this trial.
Yeah.
Strike that objection. Strike that from the record.
How many times they were just like,
it's just a small.
Why are you even trying anymore? Objection. Overruled. Overruled. Stop it. Shut up. Just go with it. Oh, yeah, man.
It's nuts. What a crazy story. What a ride.
I think the most disappointing thing to me, though, is the complete dropping of the ball for the law enforcement for everything. Like,
they did a horrible job.
They just sat on it for years, and then even after the Jinx came out
10 years ago, they did nothing.
They still did nothing. Like, they were given that evidence from the documentary before that documentary aired.
They had the evidence, the handwriting evidence, and the confession 2 years before the Jinx season 1 aired, and that was 12 years ago.
And their justification,
and they only tried arresting him the day before the season 1 finale aired.
And their justification was, we don't want to talk to people and spook them.
And they finally convicted him 2 years ago, and then he died of COVID.
And then, after that, they've got him. He's in jail, and they don't try him for another.
And I know that like the trial process takes some time, and so I can give a little bit of credit for because when was it that they finally arrested him? 2015, 16.
It was the day they arrested him the day the finale aired.
Oh, so yeah, that's right. 10 years ago, so 2014-ish, somewhere right in there, right?
2014.
So I'd give 5 years before they try him, just because of the way that the justice system sometimes works with some of those. Yeah. But 10 years is a little bit much. I guess it's only been 8, but when they finally got him tried, but yeah, that's wild. The other bit that I thought was just wild about this is just how. I think I've talked about this on here before, but I cannot believe that Robert Durst was watching the first season of The Jinx, and even the first 3, 4, 5 episodes wasn't like, oh crap, this is bad.
But he already knew. He didn't know that they caught his confession on a hot mic, but he did know that it ended with the handwriting that he testified for years could only have been written by the killer. And he still didn't try running.
I definitely wrote that note. Yeah. And it's like, what? Wow, that's wild. I don't know. I really do hope that something happens with Deborah Sheridan though, because I mean, she really did do a lot to.
No, she got away with all of the money, man. There's pretty much nothing you can do about it legally.
That's really sad, Mark. I'm sorry to hear that.
Mark, that sucks.
Well,
that is tough. Yeah. But yeah, that was quite a wild ride to watch that show and just see how that was all going down.
So, what state does this all take place in? So I can
everywhere,
there.
Everywhere. New York, Texas, California, and then a bunch of other places where he dressed up as a woman.
Yeah,
he was on his way to Puerto Rico.
Yeah, he was going to escape cross border. Yeah,
when they caught him.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. So season 1 is the trial in Texas.
If you want the pitch, okay. For season 1, this is a guy who had been the prime suspect of 2 murders, and they could never get enough information on him. But they were always trying to pin it on him because it was obviously him. They just couldn't.
They didn't have the
everyone they talked to was paid off and wouldn't talk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then years later, they catch him with a chopped up body in his trunk.
Tossing it into the river.
With the axe.
Oh, no.
There's a bone saw in his trunk, and he's already tossed half of the bags into the river. They catch him red-handed, murdering a third person, or with the after effects of a third murder. And he gets off.
Oh, no, that was the third one, yeah, because Susan died.
He is acquitted. And you have to watch. It is the craziest. It's insane. You've got to watch season 1.
It's one of those things where we were watching it, and when we get to to the jury deciding on that first trial, and my wife and I look at each other and we say, "Yeah, I think we would have acquitted him too, based on what they presented and what happened in the trial."
They managed to pull some reasonable doubt out of their butt.
And more than just that, but just also like the details of what they were trying him for.
And the prosecution was awful.
Massively failed. Yeah.
It's sort of like that guy that went on to the Joe Rogan podcast a couple months ago, and he was with some activist who works with an organization in New York or something like that, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this guy was falsely accused, and he was put in prison, and he lost like 15 years or something like that of his life, and he's been found totally innocent." And then it turns out that surveillance footage from like a week prior to that showed the guy had butchered somebody and left him in a hotel fridge. They arrested the guy like the day after the Rogan podcast.
Wow.
Yeah, so he was literally sitting across from a guy who chopped somebody to pieces and left him in a fridge.
That's nuts.
Where he was staying. And it's like, oh, wow. Actually, it was an old enemy of his from when he was still on the street selling drugs.
Wow.
Yeah. There was footage of him running into the guy, and then there was footage of them encountering each other in the motel, and then they found footage and tracked it down, and they were like, "Oh, somebody went in there and never came out." And he's been missing.
Did he do Did he do a follow-up episode after the guy was arrested?
I wish he did, but I bet he'll never be able to find the activist who helped him get free.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's nuts. Okay, I got to show you. You guys heard how pissed off I was last week about Doctor Who. It was the most nonsensical episode of all time.
Yeah.
And like there's this lady that's following her that always stays 65 yards away from her, like no matter what, and is constantly whispering and doing this stupid stuff. And this is what they post this week. What do you think the woman was saying? Because BBC doesn't have the answer either. This is promotional material for their episode that made no sense. Is them trying to say, hey, what do you think the answer was? There is no answer to the question. And it turns out that the old woman is the doctor's companion. And she was telling people to stay away from herself. and it's the dumbest. Okay, sorry, correction. It's not the dumbest thing I've ever seen, because episode 5 is worse.
Well, I am actually going to get out of here just because I don't have anything to contribute to Who, and we're going to take off for now. But have fun.
See ya.
Right.
Have a good night.
Hey, Jared.
Episode 5, Circle and Dot. No, the Dot and Bubble is the dumbest thing I've ever watched in my entire life. They're trying to do the Black Mirror episode with
Which one?
the one with the Jurassic World lady.
Yeah. Upvotes,
Bryce Dallas.
social likes.
The one who's really good at directing Star Wars.
Bryce Dallas Howard.
Bryce Dallas Howard, yeah. The social media one. It's literally just a ripoff of Black Mirror, except that racism is the bad guy. I have never been more confused. This episode was retarded. They're so attached to social media. They have a bubble around their heads, like they have a dot that projects a bubble around their head that shows them all their face swaps, right? And they talk to people on the phone, and they can stay on social media while they walk around, because they have an arrow saying, "Hey, walk forward, turn right, turn left," while you're scrolling social media. And there are monsters eating people who aren't paying attention. And the doctor tells her to turn off her social media and run, and she goes, Oh, I don't know how to walk without my bubble.
What?
That's weird.
The bubble pointed them in the direction they needed to walk.
Yeah.
But she knows how to walk.
Yeah, that's odd.
It was so dumb. I hated this episode. It made no sense. And at the very end, they tried to be like, "Oh, it's racism, guys. All white people are bad, and they hate the blacks." Yeah, we talked about the fourth reshoot. We were confused. I didn't know if it was fourth or fifth. I knew it was one of the two. Captain America's reshooting again. Yeah, I am very... Doctor Who just... it was awful. And the numbers are bad again. So there was a little boost last week because episode 3 was kind of good. And it was Memorial Day weekend. It's funny because they blamed warm weather for the poor performance of the first 3 episodes.
Yeah.
And they're also thanking warm weather for the good performance of the 4th episode.
You're kidding.
They actually said it's probably because the weather is so good that these numbers are so low.
Let's ignore the fact that Gatwa literally told everybody who didn't like it to go touch grass. So everybody's like, "All right, screw you, bye."
Yeah, I know you're not watching, and I don't know why I am. I don't know why I'm doing this. I didn't even watch the Christmas specials. I didn't watch the David Tennant episodes, but something told me I needed to watch these ones, and I got a lot of subscribers for it, so I think it's doing good. Climate change is the reason for poor ratings. Yeah, really. But yeah, they went straight back down this week, and I don't. Anyone who watched this episode, I would put money down that episode 6 drops below 2 million.
Yeah.
Which one of the 2 episodes do you hate more? This last one or the baby one?
This one.
Okay.
Jared, please tell me you watched Doctor Who.
No, dude, I checked like several times and it wasn't on.
It's the worst thing I've ever seen. It's worse than last week's. It's worse than the baby episode, Jared. It's so dumb.
When did it air?
Yesterday.
Oh, yeah. See, because I literally checked several times this week.
It comes out on Saturday, you idiot.
I know.
I need to talk. I need someone to understand my pain.
I was totally gonna watch.
You were my only hope, Jared.
I'm sorry. I can watch it right now. Give me an hour. No, just kidding.
It is so confusing. We'll have to talk about it next week, but.
Okay,
But I'm glad you showed up because I wanted to show you this. This was their promotional material this week regarding last week's episode because they don't know the answer either.
Well, dude, I almost watched a video that was like, this is all the things that you could, like, all the mystery things of this episode that, like, clarifying all the questions. I was like, whatever. Dude, the whole episode didn't make sense. Like, the whole episode was a mystery.
And they're using it as promotional material. What do you think she was saying? I don't know, because nothing you could answer that question with would make the episode make sense.
Nope.
Especially because it was her telling people not to talk to herself.
Seriously, I don't get it at all. Like telling her to, like, her mom to leave her. Like, seriously, none of that makes sense.
But it has been funny. Screen Rant has once again written the same article twice. That the Doctor is officially not Doctor Who's season 4's main character, and also Ncuti Gatwa's role in the Doctor season 4 is an unwelcome surprise because he's not the main character. This is the third episode in a row where the Doctor hasn't been in the episode. Like, he's tangential.
Yeah. Yeah, I read that second article. Is an unwelcome surprise, and it's still, they're trying to spin it at a good light. They're like, oh, this has worked before with Blink. And
yeah.
Blink was such a great episode, and it is. It's a fantastic episode.
Yeah, but you didn't have 3 episodes in a row of Blink. And he was in a lot of Blink.
Right. And they never say in the article, oh, yeah, these episodes weren't very great. They're just like, oh, they don't feature the Doctor very much, and that might turn some people off, and that's a shame.
Yeah. I mean...
That's their article.
In Boom, in episode 3, he's in a lot of it, but he can't move the entire set. In episode 4, the confusing one, he's in the beginning of the episode, he has one line, and then he disappears and comes back at the very end.
Yeah.
And in this one, he's like sending messages to the main character of the show, kind of Blink style, but even like less.
Yeah.
And then he gives a speech at the end about how white people are bad.
And then also in that article, they talk about
lemon.
Yeah, they talk about the reason why he's not in these episodes very much is because he's still filming his other show, the only other show that he's been on, Sex Education, and they couldn't get him to actually film the episodes.
The show about high school kids banging each other.
Yeah, it's like. First off, why
it's British Euphoria?
He's not going to be available to star in your show, and second, well, yeah.
Can you okay? Just for a second, I know that it's believable now, okay, but close your eyes and imagine peak Doctor Who, okay, and imagine you're on a show about banging high school kids, and you get the phone call, "Hey, David, you're the new Doctor." What's the first thing you do?
I'm dropping my other show.
Right. We live in a world where he's putting off Doctor Who to film Sex Education.
Yeah. Even if that's not the case, though, like, work around his schedule and, yeah, it doesn't make sense.
It just sounds like he's practicing to be a doctor for that scene. Turn your head and cough, son.
David, you're going to be the Doctor, but you're going to have to stop banging high school kids.
Dang it.
It's the one condition.
Yeah. Doesn't make any sense. But yeah, the article
also,
was hilarious.
Everyone in this episode is gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. It's crazy. So, I'm pissed off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know any other like Doctor Who fans much in my personal life, but the few things I have heard, even from people that I do know, they're just like, yeah, screw this. Like they haven't really been on this since not Tennant, the younger
Matt
guy
Smith.
afterward, Matt Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't been on board like since him. That's like, ooh.
Tennant and Matt Smith were really good. Peter Capaldi gave a great performance, and he has some really good episodes. But it started to get woke there.
Yeah, about half of his episodes are almost unwatchable. But his performance is always good.
And he has some. He does have some really, really good episodes, even towards the end. And then Jodie Whittaker. Oh my goodness, she has like maybe 3 episodes that I really, really liked, but
haven't watched any of them.
Yeah.
Oh.
So many of them were like, oh, that's an interesting concept that you did not pull off at all.
Yeah.
I did not explore, and all of the she has the worst companions that don't make any sense. They're just they have no character whatsoever.
But they were still trying to make a Doctor Who show.
Right.
This season, I don't understand.
It was still kind of like, oh yeah, that's a good Doctor Who concept. They just didn't execute it very well.
This season, I don't know. I don't understand. I don't know why. They are trying their hardest to make anything other than Doctor Who. This episode is literally Black Mirror. And the other previous episodes have been about magic. I don't understand. It doesn't even look like Doctor Who. It doesn't smell like Doctor Who.
Well, I think the problem is that they're trying to fit the Doctor Who narrative into the lore that they've created, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're trying to shove a Doctor Who shaped block into a gay hole.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if that's really the problem, but it's more of like, they changed some things, like with the timeless child, right?
Yeah.
And so now they have to kind of backtrack, and they have to think about everything totally differently, and it's ruining what was so good about what made the lore and everything before so great and genuine.
Right.
Even if because we've even talked about how even those past seasons, there were some woke seasons, there were some seasons and some episodes that pushed the boundaries, but that wasn't what made it so cringe and so different. But it's now that they've changed this lore and tried to say, oh, okay, well, since the timeless child, everything's different. Well, it's like you completely changed what Doctor Who is.
Then make a different show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the reveal of the timeless child could have worked if it was the Master and not the Doctor, but it makes no sense. It upends,
sure,
years and years of continuity, and Doctor Who has retconned stuff before, but this is a retcon on such a massive level that it does not make sense. There's so many things that are integral on how regeneration works,
and now they're retconning the genre that there's this is not a sci-fi anymore.
Yeah, that's really weird. Anyways,
yeah,
I will watch it this next week though. I'll do it.
I didn't watch Torchwood because I heard that it was gross, but
yeah, it's just that what's his bucket? Captain Jack is gay.
He's bi.
He hits. Oh, well, you're right. He's bi. He hits on everybody. But other than that, I mean, it was that was the only quote unquote woke part about it that I know. I haven't seen all of it. I've seen a handful of episodes. But.
I mean, there are a few episodes with the lizard lady who has a wife.
Right. That's about as woke as Matt Smith gets.
And they're all in the background.
Right.
In a handful of episodes.
Yep.
So.
not to bury the lead, because I know the subject is Doctor Who. That's another thing that was really interesting about Furiosa. I didn't really detect it being all that woke.
No.
At all.
It wasn't even like girl bossy.
Yeah. which is such a stark contrast, which is a shame considering like they're both of these, like the Doctor Who and Furiosa are like bombing, but why they're bombing it's such a shame.
Yeah. I loved Doctor Who. I think it was the first like show that I just like got into, It was like my personality at one point.
Well, I think we were into Monk and Psych before Doctor Who.
Not as much as I was into Doctor Who, but I enjoyed those shows.
But we those were the first shows that we really got into though before Doctor Who. But yeah, for sure.
It's quite depressing.
It's very sad.
But seeing the ratings, I want this show to die. Because I don't want them to keep butchering it. So seeing these ratings just tank makes me happy inside.
Yeah.
It also makes me sad, but this is like the preferred outcome for me.
It's that old Red Letter Media meme. It's like, how does it feel to watch everything you've known and loved turn to crap around you?
Yep.
Yeah.
It feels great.
David, did you send me this one about George R. R. Martin?
Yeah.
We talked about how last week he announced, "Oh yes, I'm writing a bunch of Game of Thrones because I'm not going to write more Dunk and Egg until after Game of Thrones is done." And then this week he announced he's not writing Game of Thrones because he's writing a sci-fi movie.
Yep.
So,
which is it?
I don't know.
Which is it, George? Yeah.
The sci-fi movie is Game of Thrones.
He's pulling a Brandon Sanderson. It's Game of Thrones world that has moved on to the scientific space exploration age.
I don't know. I'm really enjoying the Fire and Blood. It's a really well written book, and I'm super excited for House of the Dragon season 2.
Yeah.
But I've started rewatching season 1, and it's fantastic. But we did have complaints when we watched it, and there are a couple stupid things in there.
Yeah.
Like in episode 1, they're doing the tournament, and then randomly a bunch of them just start like killing each other, and you're like, these like later on in the books, like people get in trouble for doing that. Like one character accidentally kills someone in a contest, and there's huge ramifications. And in episode 1, they're like killing a bunch of people. But nothing's worse than the dragon genocide thing in the penultimate episode. But it was still
the funeral or
no when Aegon. Not Aegon. Is it Aegon? Someone when he's being crowned king.
Oh,
and Princess Rhaenys. No,
right. Breaks. Yeah, breaks.
They all have similar names. Yeah,
and just flies away instead of taking care of the problem. Yeah, that was.
Yes, you need to finish season 1 to watch season 2. Mark, thank you for the $1.99. Season 1 is good. So, but it goes to show, like, despite like those tiny complaints that we had, some of them were like. That penultimate episode was a big complaint. That wasn't a small complaint. It legitimately brought the show down. The other stuff in the show is done so well, like you're completely forgiving of those dumb moments. And that was Furiosa for me. I recognize, and Albelio is 100% correct in his criticisms, but I was enjoying myself with the stuff that was done well, that I was willing to overlook those things. And that's the difference between these shows and Rings of Power and Wheel of Time. Like,
yeah,
the plot contrivances and plot holes and just retarded stuff in there stand out a whole lot more because there's nothing redeeming about it. Like the scene in episode 1 of House of the Dragon. It's hit me so hard, and I was like, I remember why I love this show, where it's just Prince King Viserys is talking to his daughter, and previously in the episode, she like made a comment in their council room, out of turn, and he sent her out of the room. And then they're having dinner later, and she comes to him and says, "Hey, Dad, about that," and he says, "Don't worry about it. I forgive you," and dismisses it. And from his perspective, he's being charitable, and you can see from her perspective, she was trying to bring it up again and say, "No, Dad, I was right. You need to do what I said." And just like the amount of double speak that they can have in scenes like with no dialogue it's just so refreshing to see that kind of writing after the drought that we've been having of bad writing.
Yeah.
And that is, a lot of the show don't tell is what Furiosa does well.
Nice.
And I can't wait for season 2 Ask the Dragon.
You know what I can't wait for?
To watch episode 5 of Doctor Who. So you can know my pain.
Well, now I'm going to have to watch 5 and 6. So I got to do 2 in 1 week. That's painful.
Yeah, so the episode 6 is like the last episode, and then the last 2 it's a 2-parter finale.
Oh, interesting. Okay. No, I'm excited to watch The Bear. The next episode of The Bear.
Wait. Did they announce Bear season 3?
Yeah, it comes out end of this month.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm happy.
8.
Yeah, I'm excited about that one.
Okay, thanks for bringing that up. I've been waiting for an announcement, and I didn't see it. I've been gone all week, remember?
Speaking of The Bear, tangentially, my family and I just saw Wonka because it's streaming, right?
Oh, gross.
And I really enjoyed it. It was fun, wholehearted, feel-good movie. And it was, I really liked that it brought it back to the original, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory with Gene Wilder. But
it tries to make it part of the same universe?
Yeah, no, it's they reprise Pure Imagination.
Yeah, that was cool. It was good. I liked the reprise.
Yeah, it was really, really nice, very nostalgic, and it was a fun story. I had to step out because I'm on call this week.
Did she make you watch it?
No, I haven't watched it yet. We need to watch it. It's on the watch list. There's several things that I've been trying to get my wife to watch, and she's like, "No, I don't feel like that." Anyways, but yeah, Wonka was really fun, but I couldn't help because they were so heavily emphasizing that this is a prequel to the original rendition and not the Johnny Depp version. I liked Timothée Chalamet's performance, but I couldn't help but thinking they should have gotten the guy from The Bear.
A lot of people thought that.
Because he's Gene Hackman's grandson, and he looks just like him.
It
would have been so
Who?
good. The Bear, the what's his name?
Oh, you're saying the lead actor from The Bear was going to play Gene
Jeremy
Hackman?
Allen White is Gene Hackman's grandson, and he looked just like him. It's
no
insane.
way.
Yeah, a lot of people said that actually. I
brought that up to you before, bro.
Yeah,
it's one of
that
those
makes me like him even more.
I know, right?
I know, right?
But it was one of the things because I'd never seen him in any other film. But I just looked at his face watching The Bear. I'm like, this guy looks so familiar.
His big role, he was in Shameless TV show for a long time.
I never saw that.
Yeah,
I was like, his face looks so familiar. He looks just like his grandfather. And I was like, oh man, that would have been as much as I enjoyed Timothée Chalamet's performance, he would have been so good. And
I don't know if I can envision him doing that part though. Like
that's true. He's not as
like
goofy.
I don't know if he has the voice. And secondly, like I don't know if I could see him, being that fun. And I mean, maybe he could. Maybe it would be fun to see him in a different kind of role. But
he does look like Gene Hackman. I've never noticed until you said that.
Yeah,
he looks like Gene Hackman.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane how much he looks.
Even with his big old nose, like it's crazy.
Right.
I've been trying to watch because there's a couple of his movies I haven't seen yet, and I've been trying to make sure I've seen them all. I recently watched See No Evil Hear No Evil?
Gene Wilder. I kept saying Gene Hackman.
I was going to say,
Gene
I'm
Wilder.
pretty sure it was Gene Wilder.
Okay. That
I
sounded
don't know
wrong.
why.
Gene Wilder.
Yeah.
Have you need to see Hear No Evil, See No Evil. It's so good.
Okay.
It's See No Evil, Hear No Evil. It's just the greatest premise. It's so good. So
Yeah.
Gene Wilder is deaf, and Richard Pryor is blind, and they become friends and have to solve a murder. It's so wonderful. I haven't seen Silver Streaks yet, but I'm like, I've watched a lot of Gene Wilder movies, and there's some I haven't seen yet. I'm trying to repent.
Yeah. I love Gene Wilder. He's awesome.
I can't believe you said Gene Hackman.
Yeah, I don't know why.
And I repeated it. Anyway, that's all I have to talk about. Right? We hit everything. I didn't watch any. I didn't watch any more Outer Range.
I didn't either.
I completely forgot about it because they released it all at once. If they were doing it weekly, it would be something that I had to remember.
Yep.
I like the show too, and I just completely forgot that it was a thing.
Yeah, because they dropped it all. You're like, oh, I'll watch it when
I was making the thumbnail, and I said, "Oh crap."
Yep. I looked at the thumbnail and I said, "Oh crap."
Well, then, should I just add my sense on the Jinx real quick then?
Oh yeah.
First off,
we talked about it already.
Yeah. That's fine. I understand. I got here late. First off, David, I'm mad at you because you spoiled it for me that day. I said not to spoil it for me, and you spoiled it for me.
just the part that we already know that he died, right?
No, but you also were like, yeah, this episode sucks, and all of his friends betray him, and I'm like, dude, like,
no, that was at the end of the last episode. It had that phone call.
I know.
Jail, and he's like,
you added something else on there, and I was like, oh, you kind of gave it away, but
that's why it was kind of disappointing because we already knew where it was going. It showed that in the very end of the penultimate episode. I'm like, okay, well, that's where it's going to go, and that's really all it was. Is just saying, yeah, he died. That sucks, and all of the other people around his life are terrible people for, staying silent just for a piece of the pie.
Yeah, the thing that frustrated me the most
is really quick is Justin Hancock. Is Silver Streak the one where Gene Wilder does a blackface? Oh no! Yeah, you said it. It's in your comment. Okay, yeah. I was trying to remember. Okay, go on. I didn't realize you'd already answered that question.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was just gonna say that the thing that frustrated me with that episode was, first off, technically the conviction just disappeared, so he wasn't technically convicted.
Yeah.
Because he died. Which is stupid. Like, what kind of a rule is that? That, hey, if you die after being convicted, you haven't been convicted. It's like...
Well, it's because he's dead. And
I know!
And you have the right to an appeal. And so if you die before you can appeal, the justice process is not complete. And so it goes away.
I just think that's dumb. I think that there should definitely be...
Look, it doesn't. It's frustrating for the family, and yeah, it was like a huge bummer that, like, oh yeah, his conviction gets erased, but he's also dead, and it doesn't change where he's ending up.
Right.
Well, I know, but what this whole episode is about being compensated for the damages that have been caused because of that action, right? And now the family, because he's not convicted technically, is trying to charge him civilly. Yeah. Instead of being able to go through the means that they just barely went through, right, to actually get the compensation for the damages, right?
Yeah.
And now, because of that, they worked the system, and while he was in jail, he completely erased his estate and made it worthless, which is also dumb because any lawyer or any judge or anything should be able to see, oh, okay, you clearly conspired while you were in prison to manipulate the system in a way that you can take advantage of whether or not they actually do this civil lawsuit later, right? Like that was pathetic and completely frustrating.
Yep.
But anyway, that was sort of my 2 cents. Is I thought it was dumb that he's not technically convicted because he died, and I thought that was a stupid rule. And secondly, that yes, it was interesting to. I mean, the interesting thing to see with his friends is obviously that he was like, right? It's like innocent. He was proven guilty, right? Like he was proven guilty. So it's like
now without an appeal.
Anyway, I just think that's dumb. But anyway, but then he, what was I going to say?
He got off on a technicality by dying. Yes,
I know, which also I'm like, interesting. It seems a little sus. But no. Oh, the other thing I was going to say is I thought it was interesting too that yes, you see his friends like abandon him slowly, but it was also interesting to see as they were interviewing him that they were asking him, like they were straight out asking him, be like, he was convicted basically, like, what do you think about that now, knowing that he did potentially do this? And all of them were like, well, I'm still okay with the decisions I made, basically. And you're like, dude, seriously? Like, he's a murderer.
Yeah.
And you're still okay with helping him. Like,
the craziest question was with and I'm forgetting her name. It's not Bernice. It's his wife,
Deborah.
Yeah.
Was when they asked her, "Is there like okay, I get." She's like, "Oh well, it's hard, because I was loyal to him, and I never pictured him. I never pictured him as a murderer." And so and then they ask her the question, "Is there anything he could have done that would have brought you to the point where you could say, yes, that's bad?" And she's, "I don't know." You're like,
right?
It's not hard to say, yeah. Just
right?
say
like,
yes.
Seriously. Yeah, Deborah's definitely the
There's
worst.
There's literally nothing he could have done where she would have turned on him.
And that was
Deborah,
the worst part.
Deborah
actually getting her part of the story too, and literally having them be like, wait, so were you guys really like? I mean, okay, so the thing is, they were married, and then she even lived apart from him. Like they never even lived together.
Yeah,
they still were calling.
She had a different husband the whole time.
Yeah,
it's like that's what's depressing, is that the court of law can't just look at those circumstances and say, okay, yes, he got married to her, and we know he's probably told her some confidential things. So yes, typically, the wife, you can't really, I mean, there's this relationship that it's more intimate, and yeah, like maybe you tell them things that, you wouldn't tell anybody else, and that's taking advantage of the system or whatnot. But like, you could clearly look at the situation and be like, okay, this is not something where they loved each other. This is not something that they even cared about each other. He was doing it just so that he could tell somebody, confess everything he did, and get away with it, and have an accomplice, right? And then she was living with another dude, and they were aware of that, and he was aware of that. Like they clearly could have said, okay, well, you're not acting as his wife. Maybe you weren't his wife.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's so frustrating. That's the thing about law. There's so many things where I'm like, yes, I get it. There's a reason for it. There's an understanding. And I know a lot of laws, too, are made because somebody took advantage of it before. And so they make a new law and say, okay, well, we can't do this anymore, right? But it's so frustrating to see these little things where you're like, this just should be common sense. Like, clearly they're taking advantage of the system, and this is not right either.
Right. But that's life, and that's the Jinx of it. I don't know.
Anyway, that's my 2 cents. I know you guys already talked about it, but
it's a fascinating story. It's a great cautionary tale. It's a great, it shines a light on evil, and it's worth watching. And season 2, isn't nearly as important or influential as the first season, but I'm glad it existed, and I wasn't expecting it. Came out of nowhere, and just gives so much more information on the story that we were missing.
Yeah, I kind of hope they do another season where it just dives into the case with Deborah.
I think what you mean to say is I hope that there's a case with her.
Really, like,
because it all depends on if it happens, you know?
I would totally do that.
Well,
I would watch it.
Another 15 years from now, we'll see if another season comes out, because they're still not moving ahead with the actual trial, and then if they're gonna make another documentary, it's gonna have to be years after that. So,
yeah.
Anyways,
well, that's pretty much all I've got. I think there was nothing else. The next 2 weeks are just the Acolyte and Doctor Who. So it's gonna be hell.
I won't be watching either, but you can inform me about how terrible they are, and watch bearded Jared try to justify the Acolyte.
I know I'm watching the first episode of the Acolyte. That's all I can commit to. But I'm finishing this season of Doctor Who. Like it feels like a calling right now. Like I have to watch it.
I think I can commit to that too. If you get access to it somehow, I will watch the first episode.
You have the first 3, right? Of the Acolyte.
Of Acolyte.
I thought you were committing to finishing Doctor Who with me.
No.
I'll try to catch
just when you thought you had to share your suffering.
Yeah.
At least I've got Jared. He knows me. He supports me.
Yeah.
You will super chat $50 if I watch all of the Acolyte. Look, I don't think it's worth $50. Oh, jeez.
Just watch the first episode and then just binge all of the other ones at like 2 times speed.
Mm-hmm.
after they're released, after the finale. Yeah,
that's a tough one. I might do it. I'll do anything for money. Just kidding. I have morals. Okay. Anyway, Abelia, thanks for jumping on and telling me I'm wrong. You can do that anytime. You're always invited on. Anytime you want to jump on, man.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate it.
And you guys need to watch. How long was the final cut of your Fallout video?
33 minutes.
It's good.
I
know that you were. Every week there was like a new update. I've written another 100 pages on Fallout, and it's a good deconstruction of the season.
Nice. I'll have to check that out. The problem is I used to watch everything on my personal YouTube account, and I've switched to watching YouTube videos on the Shelf Help Gaming account. And so there's a lot of people that I was subscribed to with my old channel that I'm not getting notifications for anymore. So I need to fix that.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on. Next week's going to be not fun, but the cherry on top is House of the Dragon is going to start airing during the show, and so we're going to be a week behind on House of the Dragon, but that's just how you have to pick a day and be.
Yep.
So we get screwed with HBO shows, but it'll still be fun. Then Rings of Power, and then Dune. It's going to be a crazy year. So,
yeah.
Trying to do more.
We'll have the bear to help us through.
I'm trying to set up more book club stuff too. It's just that's a lot harder to set up because people have lives, But hopefully we'll be talking about Gunmetal Gods soon because that one's good. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you check out Abilio. He's awesome channel, great artwork, and cool guy who's always right except for when it comes to Furiosa. No, I agree. It just doesn't affect me as much. It's fine. It's fine. We can disagree to agree. We can
agree to disagree.
No, it goes the other way around. Anyway, I'm falling asleep because I have heat exhaustion because I've been in the sun all week, and I gotta call it before I say something that gets me canceled. So, see you guys next week. It's going to be awful, but please,
Yep.
please come. Please come. And if you're not already a member, which if you're watching, you probably are, because Mark Clark donated 20 memberships. Episode 3 of Doctor Who drops tomorrow. So you either have that to look forward to, or you've already seen it, because Mark Clark's awesome. See you next week. Bye.
And now it is time to say goodbye.
We had a great conversation.
It's been fun. But all good things must come to an end, and the goodest ending I can think of is...
Right now, this moment, this night.
So I guess we just... say goodbye.
So, goodbye.
Toodaloo. Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen. Ciao. Ding dao day. But come back next week for more outrageous bloopers.
This is the end.
Well, there's only one thing left to do.
I'm gonna go home and sleep with my wife.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. If it's true, please take a minute to subscribe to the channel, and you can join us along for the ride. And if you pay me, I'll try to be more entertaining, so please consider joining